we're going to be doing a little bit of a Q&A episode.
It's been 6 months. What's with the girls who use horse shampoo in their hair? As a horse girl, is it legit? Love you, horse girl.
Yeah, year of the horse. Year of the horse shampoo, maybe? Is there any merit to curl shampoo and curl conditioner?
I deal with a lot of curly hair. Like most of my customers for microscopic hair analyses have curly hair. Why do people gatekeep having curly hair so much? Like
I'm shaking in my boots.
No, seriously. Like it actually infuriates me where someone will say they have curly hair and then all the comments are like, no, you're wavy.
Okay, if you think you have straight hair, this is a PSA. To everyone who thinks they have straight hair out there.
What's a product or brand with so much hype that just doesn't make sense?
Best practices for hair washing and conditioner in hard water.
There's another question about rinsing your hair with cold water. Does it actually benefit your hair?
I want to say that it doesn't make a difference, but unfortunately.
There was another question about preserving hair color and what to look for in shampoos. I think this is a good segue because it's not sulfates like people think.
The last question, since neither of you work for the company that you met at anymore, what are your current day jobs? That is, thanks for the reminder. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of your favorite weekly podcast, Beauty by the Beaker. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Sadie.
And this is the podcast where science gets a hot new makeover by us, cosmetic chemists.
True.
Certified.
Yes.
Certified by...
Who are we certified by?
I don't know. We have degrees.
Certified by the vibes.
We have chemistry degrees.
That's true, we do.
But after that, you can just get certified by your own hopes and dreams, I think.
True. So if you're looking to become a cosmetic chemist, it
Hope
really
and dream for
is
it.
just about...
Yeah. First question, how to become a cosmetic chemist? Hope and dream.
Yep.
Really hard.
Prayers if that's something you're into.
Yeah. Well, welcome back. It's been honestly kind of a while because we batched a couple episodes last time. So
yeah,
we haven't seen each other in a moment. And might as well just start off by telling you guys about coconut oil.
Oh, yeah. How'd that go?
It was
been
fine.
3 weeks.
Yeah, now that it's been a month, it's fine. I will say, though, not that we need to make time for this in today's episode, but
I say we do.
See, that's not going to be allowed.
That's something we're definitely not making time for.
Yeah. I'm not recommending coconut oil as a makeup remover because it did a good job at like lifting the makeup from its place and moving it around. But what's so good about an oil cleanser is that it also has surfactants in it that then once you put water on your face, it like rinses off.
Yeah.
And coconut oil doesn't have surfactants in it, so it doesn't do that.
You're missing that benefit.
Yeah. And I did use like a cleanser afterward, but I do still stand by the use of an oil cleanser because I do feel... The reason I wanted to use something was because I don't feel like a cleanser on its own, like a gel cleanser, foaming cleanser, does very good at removing makeup.
I don't think it does either.
Yeah. So if you're wearing makeup, I do recommend an oil cleanser, but not coconut oil.
Yeah.
But honestly, coconut oil was probably better than nothing. Coconut oil plus a cleanser was probably better than just the cleanser on its own.
Yeah. I would agree. Well, that's good.
Because it at least moved it around.
It shifted it. And
I got it off my eyeballs.
yeah.
So that I could rinse it off of my cheeks instead of like from my lash line.
Exactly.
You know?
And then you just cry the rest off and it works.
So yeah, that's my update in the last 3 weeks. Oh, and I started retinol.
Yeah. How's that been going?
It's been going good. Can you see me radiating from over there?
It is like blindingly radiant. So.
What have you been up to the last 3 weeks? Any updates on your end?
Not really. Just chugging along, you know?
Yeah.
I've been using a lot of really good cosmetic products. I'm very excited to chat about them. We have some very exciting things around the corner that will hopefully be announced soon. But yeah, other than that, I'm still wearing my sunscreen every day. I'm still using my tretinoin. Oh, actually, skincare related, last night I used my tretinoin on top of humectants.
Ooh.
Because I was like, I need a little bit more from you know?
Said, let's oomph it up.
Yes, I needed a little bit more gusto. So
any noticeable difference the next day?
It wasn't irritated, so that was good.
That's good.
It'll probably take a little while for me to see actual results, but
yeah,
both of us are just on our retinol journeys, I guess.
Yeah,
retinoid.
Yeah, retinoids. I will say maybe a correction because we got a comment of someone saying retinaldehyde is not a retinol ester, which is true. Retinaldehyde is retinal.
That makes sense.
Because aldehydes and esters they're not the same. But yeah.
It's been 4 years since I graduated college. So.
Yeah, retinaldehyde and retinal are the same thing. So retinol turns into retinaldehyde.
Okay.
Before it turns into retinoic acid.
Thank you for the correction. Whoever did that.
Yeah. As we're talking about retinoids, just thought I'd throw that out there. Because I saw the comment and someone said that and I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. I don't remember what we said in the episode, but when they said retinaldehyde's not a retinol ester, I said, well, I'll be darned.
Well, so
you're
true,
right.
Queen. Yes. Yeah, now that you mention it, that is correct.
No.
Yeah.
You've got a good point there.
Yeah. Can't argue with that. Well, what are we talking about today?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. The first of many questions, I presume. Today, we're going to be doing a little bit of a Q&A episode. It's been a while since we've done one of these.
It's been 6 months.
6 whole months.
Yeah, we figured for our 35th episode, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
That we've been posting for 35 weeks.
Yeah. Isn't that like divisible by 7?
5.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing this for longer than 5 months.
Well, probably because there's not 7 weeks in a month.
Yes, that's actually a really good point. Don't rehab. Yeah, now that you mention it, no, I love what you're doing over there.
Thank you. I was workshopping that idea for a minute, so I'm glad it landed.
Yeah, no,
there's usually 4, a little bit more than 4
generally.
Weeks.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I just said 7 because not common that you come across a number that's divisible by 7.
It's pretty prime.
When you said 35, that was my first thought is, oh my gosh, that number is divisible by 7. Does that ever happen to you? 56 too.
That's our times table on this podcast and failing miserably. Today I was trying to do a CAPTCHA. It said, what's 14 plus 7? I confidently typed in 22. Okay. Yeah, don't listen to anything I have to say, honestly. We've been doing this for 35 weeks, which is almost a whole year.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty
that adds up to me.
To 52.
7 weeks in a month, 7 months in a year. Yeah, we're like right there. Yeah. So starting that off, if those were any of your questions, I hope we answered some of those.
And hopefully that gives you confidence to know that what we're saying has validity and merit.
No, this is not a maths podcast. It's a science podcast, which is an adjacent STEM field. I
should know how to do addition, probably.
It's actually not adjacent. It's like the STEM. They're like the furthest away they could be, so.
Yeah, they're separated by technology and education. Engineering. My brain is fried.
And art if you're a STEAM gal.
Oh, no, the arts don't matter. We have AI for that.
As an artist, we have AI for that. All right.
And with that.
Well, can't argue with that.
Yeah, try me.
No, I will say maybe just because I want you guys to like and subscribe to this podcast.
Be nice.
We actually don't use very much AI.
No.
I don't use it for editing this podcast, so.
Shut up. Yeah, we are very selective about our AI use. We're not going to lie and say that we don't ever use it, but we really try to not use it as much as we can.
Yeah. But when it comes to editing the podcast, it's near zero.
Yeah.
I probably use some form of AI tools in editing the thumbnails because I use Canva. But
yeah, I feel like AI is sort of in the background of every application now too.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to say, but
yeah. There's definitely like AI editing tools.
Yeah.
Not doing that.
Nope. She's doing it from scratch.
Yeah. I'm watching the camera angles. I'm deciding who you should be seeing. I'm going through every clip. And I'm deciding whose face is shown at each point.
Painstakingly.
I feel like when I edit this, I'm going to have it just flipping violently back and forth between you and I.
The viewers like, oh my God.
But yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, today we're just going to answer some questions.
Yeah, we posted on Instagram and asked for some viewer questions. So if you aren't following us on Instagram for future Q&As, you definitely should. Our handle is at BeautyXSpeaker. Give us a follow. But yeah, we got some really good questions. Most of them are hair care related, actually.
Yes, most of them are. Also, if while listening to this episode or you have listened to previous episodes and this is the first time that you're seeing us do a Q&A, maybe you're like, oh, wait, no, I actually have some questions too and I want to ask them. You can comment them on this video. Mm-hmm. We will take note of them and answer them in the next Q&A. If you guys like this one, let us know. We'll do more Q&As like this one.
We won't wait another 6 months if we do get questions.
Yeah.
That is our promise to you.
You and you and you and you.
All 4 of you.
Exactly.
Okay. The first question is, what's with the girls who use horse shampoo in their hair? As a horse girl, is it legit? First of all, love you, horse girl.
Yeah. Year of the horse. Year of the horse shampoo, maybe?
Oh, year of the horse. I thought it said you are the horse.
No, you are the girl. And always remember that.
You are not the horse.
You are the human that should use human products.
I looked into this one a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so when I'm thinking about horse shampoos, my first thought is mane and tail. That's sort of like the most popular.
That's like the horse shampoo.
Yeah, like if you're not using
like all the horses are using that one.
Literally all of them love this shampoo. Can't get enough of it. There's a conditioner too. I know, kind of crazy. But
do they rinse and repeat as a horse?
Are they double shampooing?
You'd have to ask.
Are they using a chelating shampoo? I don't know.
Hard water.
Horse girl, will you ask for us and let us know?
UV protection
in their shampoo.
Should they live outside?
True.
So,
well, usually it doesn't work that well in rinse offs. Do they have a leave-in conditioner with UV protection?
It's a good question. I've never groomed a horse
either. I've never been around.
I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah, you don't strike me as a horse girl. You strike me as the person who made fun of horse girls in 7th grade.
Yeah, I was that kind of person. Which, if I made fun of you for liking horses in elementary school, I'm really sorry. Horses are pretty cool.
They are pretty cool.
So, my bad.
It's on the record. Anyway.
Sorry.
So mane and tail, I looked at the ingredient list of the shampoos and actually they have a bunch of different like lines, I guess. Not a bunch of different, maybe 4. But they have like a bond repair shampoo. I know. Like, okay, who's going to mane and tail for bond repair?
Seriously.
Whatever.
You know who has 0 issues with breakage? Horses. What are they using?
Literally, the bond repair shampoo. This is new technology. Okay, so I looked at the ingredient list of just the standard regular shampoo and conditioner. And the shampoo, totally fine for human use. It looks like it's probably a little bit strong because it's mostly just SLS, which is a sulfate or like a very strong cleanser. And then like a couple of other ingredients. But for the most part, it does look like it's on the stronger side.
Yeah, and I would guess that if you're washing a horse, I mean, they probably get kind of messy.
Yeah. Dirt in their hair.
We mentioned it already, but they do live outside.
Yes, this is true. If I lived outside, I would want to use a shampoo with SLS. Interestingly enough, though, their bond repair shampoo uses sodium C14. So that's the main reason why I mention it is because some of their other products seem to be slightly gentler. But
maybe.
A lot of their other products are also more marketed towards humans now. They're no longer marketing towards the horses.
I did notice that, like, okay,
it's
like seems to be mostly about the mane at this point.
Yeah, yes, which is like okay, that's erasure. But whatever.
Like humans have so many options already.
Seriously, can you give one thing to horses
from the horse?
Yes. What are they left with? But yeah, and then the conditioner, it did have conditioning ingredients in it. They aren't like my top choices, I think, for conditioners, but it probably still works decently well. So basically, yes, you can use products traditionally marketed towards horses if you want to. Like Nat mentioned, there are so many options for humans. I don't necessarily know why you would want to use that except for price reasons. Because you get so much product, like the bottle's
much horse
huge.
shampoo.
Yes.
It's like $10.
Yeah, for $10. Yeah. So it would be like a good product if you're on a budget.
That's true. You have to account for the large surface area. Surface horse. Large surface area of the horse. So
Yes, exactly.
lots to wash there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say with this question, as far as the ingredients that are used for human cosmetics and pet cosmetics, it's funny because I say pet cosmetics sometimes and people are like, pet cosmetics? They think I'm like putting falsies on Owen Spalding.
You should.
He would look fab.
You got a little like contour going.
Oh, he would look great.
He's honestly pretty bronzed already.
That's true. He does have like a nice like under eye shadow already.
Yeah.
Like a nice peachy brown.
Yes. It kind
Really
of changes color depending on what he's gotten into.
Yes.
It's gorgeous, really.
And how much has leaked from his eyes since his last bath.
Yes.
But the ingredients that are used from those products are usually the same, at least relatively similar. There are some ingredients, but mostly things that are like used for specific targeting, like flea and tick shampoos and stuff. Those are regulated differently than like a normal cosmetic. And under the FDA guidelines, a pet cosmetic is called a grooming aid, which I guess does technically make more sense than pet cosmetic. But I'm going to stick with pet cosmetic because I like
the
it.
FDA change the way you feel.
Especially because the FDA doesn't give two about grooming aids or pet cosmetics.
Yeah,
so
is it
why
like
do I
a
care?
few sentences in the FDA monograph?
Yeah, basically, and I'll talk about this more in like a later episode because this person didn't really ask about this. They just asked about horse shampoo. But horse shampoo does fall into the same category in that grooming aid category. If it is truly intended for a horse and not a human, and there's not any like medicinal application and it's not a drug, then it is regulated more like a human cosmetic, but there's even less. I mean, human cosmetics are already regulated, but it's kind of post-market.
Yeah.
Like
less,
if
like,
there's
oversight.
if there's an issue, companies can be held responsible for them. That's technically the same with grooming aids and pet products, but you're not going to get like pets that are all complaining about their cosmetics.
Unless they're like really particular.
That's true. Owen Spalding would complain.
He would complain.
But yeah, like because you're not dealing with humans who have the ability to like sue you.
Yeah.
There's not as many like rules around what has to be provided in order to sell cosmetics intended for pets.
Yeah, the dogs aren't pursuing a class action lawsuit.
Exactly.
So.
But the main difference between these types of products is their targeted pH, because human skin and hair does not have the same pH as other animals do. Horses, I believe it's very similar. I think a horse is around 7, like a neutral pH. And
Similar enough.
yeah, humans, it's slightly acidic. So our pH is closer to 5-ish. And then a dog, because I think a very similar question to this, humans using horse shampoo is like, can I just use regular shampoo on my dog? And technically, it would probably be okay a couple times, but it does throw off the pH balance of their skin because dogs have basic pHs. So they're closer to like 8.
Yeah.
And so if you're using human shampoo, which is acidic, it can be irritating for them. So not exactly the same question, but
yeah,
it is closer, the pH between humans and horses, but that's still going to be the main difference between them. Is horses, you're targeting a more coarse hair texture of an animal that lives outside in the dirt.
Yeah.
And also, they're not like trying to run their fingers through their hair and stuff like humans are. The outcome of a groomed horse, I assume, is still pretty like waxy, coarse hair.
Yeah.
So unless that's what you want your hair to feel like as a human.
Which would be crazy, but you do you.
But my overall opinion as a cosmetic formulation chemist is, why would you use a horse product?
Yeah.
When there's so many good human products.
Yeah, like it's fine if you do, I think.
Yeah. But it's not,
why?
I mean, it's designed for horses and there are different products in this case for a reason. Sometimes with cosmetic products, there are differentiations that don't necessarily need to be there and there's more of a marketing thing.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like washing different animals, sometimes it's more about the actual function.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Also, like the horses have this one thing. Yes. We have so many products.
Seriously.
Just let them have this one thing. Love it. Gorgeous.
Okay, next question. Is there any merit to curl shampoo and curl conditioner?
Good question. I was thinking about this one for a little while, and I deal with a lot of curly hair. Like most of my customers for microscopic hair analyses have curly hair. I feel like overall, not really. As a formulator, if someone came to me and asked me to create a curl product, I would make the same sort of product for them as I would with someone for straight hair. But there are certain things that I might want to keep in mind a little bit more. The first one is volume. So I would try to probably use lightweight ingredients and not things that are going to weigh the hair down quite a bit, because that can disrupt the curl pattern. So yeah, I think like a lot of curl products do have more lightweight ingredients that are used. Not all of them, obviously. Some of them are heavier. Shampoos generally tend to be a little bit less strong. I think because curly hair tends to be on the drier side, because so our scalps produce sebum, which is a natural oil, and it will travel down the hair shaft and kind of coat the hair, and that can help condition it. But when you have a curly hair pattern, it's harder for the sebum to travel down the hair shaft. You can think of it as like going down a slide. If you go down a slide that's straight, it's a lot faster than if you go down a slide that is curvy or curly. There are just more like areas that you have to cover.
Yeah.
So in general, I feel like people with straight hair can tolerate and generally like stronger shampoos because their hair feels greasier, whereas curly hair doesn't need things that are so strong and that strip the hair as much of moisture. The thing that's hard is like the roots are the same. So some people with curly hair really like using strong shampoos because their hair gets greasy and what matters is your scalp.
Yeah.
So it really just depends, but based on all of the products that I have kind of looked at over the years, most of them are on the gentler side.
Yeah.
But there are also straight hair shampoos that are also really gentle. So
yeah,
I think it mostly just lies in the marketing. There are some trends that you can see, like with curly hair marketing versus straight hair marketing and like the ingredient list. But overall, I think, yeah, it mostly comes down to marketing and just like what you prefer using.
Yeah. I was going to add to this. A lot of the personal care products that we use are, I feel like you can kind of think of it as like our bodies do things like function in a certain way. Like your scalp produces oil to condition your hair. But we societally have decided that we need to bathe more frequently than is biologically necessary, I guess. So we wash our hair in a way that's faster than our scalp oils can keep up with, because we have decided that scalp oils are not like appropriate conditioners, even though that's what they're intended for. Which I'm not opposed to doing that. Like I don't necessarily want greasy hair either.
No.
I think just keeping that in mind when you are doing your hair care routine, like the more you strip from it, the more you will probably have to add back into it. I mean, your skin is producing cells from underneath it, but your hair isn't doing that. It's not like the hair that's down here is getting thicker and like new cells are pushing them out. It's only growing from up here down. There's a lot that we still like don't really know about hair.
Yeah.
And I think what I mostly meant by that was like we've chosen to wash our hair a lot more frequently than we actually need to. And because of that, the conditioning aspect also has to be a little bit more frequent in order to manage the results of overwashing.
Right.
The amount of oil that your scalp already naturally produces and the amount that you wash your hair probably matters more than the specific product that you are using.
Yeah.
Because the products that you're using are just interacting with the oils that are being produced by your scalp.
Yeah.
Like you are using shampoo to like wash them off, and then you're using conditioner to put new oils on. And then when your hair makes oils, you then wash them off again.
Yeah, it does come down to the scalp a lot, whether you have curly hair or straight hair. Everyone's scalp produces sebum at different rates. So there are people that can go 5 days before they feel like they need to wash, and other people feel like they need to wash their hair every single day.
Yeah.
And if you have curly hair, but you get really greasy roots, you might need to be washing more often. You might need to be using something that's stronger. You might like, it just really depends. I think it's less about whether or not it's a shampoo for curly hair and more about whether it's a shampoo that can properly remove the oils on your scalp.
Yeah, I think it's more about like the shampoo conditioner combination that you use too. Because like technically, if you were to just wash your hair and not condition it, your hair would produce oil and it would eventually be conditioned by your scalp oils. If you didn't rewash it again, your hair would produce oil and it would travel down your hair shaft. The reason we use conditioner is just so that we can decrease the amount of time that our hair doesn't have a conditioned film on top of it. If you're using a shampoo that's not going to remove a lot of oils, but then you're using a heavy conditioner, then you're adding back too many oils, like more than you're removing.
Right.
You could either use a lighter conditioner or a more harsh shampoo, but it's more about like the balanced outcome than it is like the actual function of one of those individually.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Just because they're both rinse off too. Like if you get in the shower without washing your hair and you just conditioned it, it wouldn't feel the same as if you washed it and then conditioned it.
Yeah.
The conditioner doesn't matter as much as it does like removing the previous oils and replacing them.
Yes.
Which is more of the shampoo.
Yeah. The point of shampoo is to remove the oils from your hair. The point of conditioner is simply to replace what you lost.
Yeah.
Through that shampooing process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's more just like an optimized version of oils because like your scalp would eventually produce oils, but they're going to be just like the natural oils that come from your scalp. They're probably not as specifically tailored to certain needs like frizz control or like things like that.
Especially if you're like using heat or going in the sun or like doing extra things.
Yeah.
Your sebum is not designed for that.
Yeah. So just to bring it back to the curl stuff, I don't know, because I have curly, wavy hair. I don't know.
I think your hair's curly.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you. I
also
honestly though, it's a scary world out there to say you have curly hair.
I was just gonna say, this is such a tangent, but like, why do people gatekeep having curly hair so much? Like someone
shaking in my boots.
No, seriously, like it actually infuriates me where someone will say they have curly hair and then all the comments are like, no,
wavy.
you're wavy.
Wavy.
Who are you?
That's an A curl pattern.
Seriously, like it grinds my gears so much when people do that. It doesn't actually affect you if someone says their hair is curly. Like it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Also, like
also the opposite end of that is if someone says they have straight hair, people are like, no, you don't. You have a wave pattern.
Yeah.
You don't have straight hair. So it's like, what do you
Oh
want?
my gosh. The number of people that I tell, I am that person that's like, oh yeah, my hair's frizzy. No, it's not. It's curly. Your hair's not frizzy. You have curly hair. Sorry, no, ma'am, you have curly hair.
Oh, you say that?
I do that to everybody. They're like, just because I've noticed now, if you if you think you have straight hair, this is a PSA to everyone who thinks they have straight hair out there. If you have straight hair and you say, yeah, but it's curly around my face and the layers in the back, the lower layers in the back, like back of my neck get curly, but then the rest of it's just frizzy. Spoiler alert. You have curly hair that's damaged and not properly taken care of. So anyway, tangent. I was just saying that like with my hair, I've noticed more of an effect on like the weight of my curls. Like you were mentioning lightweight products. I feel like for me, it has more to do with making sure I am sufficiently rinsing at the end of conditioning.
Oh, yeah.
More than it does like having heavier or lighter conditioner. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like making sure I spend a long time rinsing at the end. So
that makes sense. Yeah. So basically curly hair products, unless it's like leave-in styling products like those, actually like a gel or something.
Yeah.
The marketing for those is sound. Shampoos and conditioners, not really, but I just say use whatever you want and what works for your hair.
Yes, for sure. All right.
Next question. What's a product or brand with so much hype that just doesn't make sense?
This is a hard question to answer just because as a person who formulates the products, being on the other side, I feel like it is hard to feel like anything makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wait.
We're so jaded.
Yeah. So this is a hard question to answer just because it's like, I mean, they're all way marked up.
Yep.
They're all 95% packaging. They're all...
And 95% water.
Yeah. So they're all a little bit overhyped, but
yeah. One that I will say that requires explanation, and I'm curious to know if you agree with this, but this is the first thing that came to mind when I read this question. For me personally, a brand that I think is overhyped is The Ordinary. And the reason behind this is purely because I personally want a couple products that do everything versus having to have 10 products that each excel in something.
I agree.
The whole idea of The Ordinary is that they take individual ingredients and make products around those ingredients. So you're kind of able to pick and choose what you want to add to your routine, which in theory is great if you're just missing like one thing.
Yeah.
But I personally want my products to do it all. I don't want to have to choose and apply 10 different products to get 10 different benefits when I can have all of those in one product.
Yeah.
So it's not that I think that I don't know. It's hard because like the idea is there. I know a lot of people love their products and I know they're really beneficial for a lot of people. It's just not something that I personally care about. Like I just want one thing that does it all.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of
one other one. I thought it was Medicube.
I know. Medicube was the first one that came to head. The first thing that I thought of was definitely Medicube just because, I don't know. I think I'm still tempted to say I feel like they were like the first Korean skincare brand that got big, but they definitely weren't because Korean skincare has been around for a very long time, which we'll talk about that more soon. But they are one of the bigger current Korean skincare brands, and they were a big player in like PDRN.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they got so popular. But yeah, definitely not, especially for Korean skincare. It's not to par, I would say.
Did you have a time on TikTok where like every other video was a Medicube ad?
Yes.
It was like a couple of weeks and
yeah.
I think they just
it was all
paid
like,
a bunch of people at the same time.
Yeah, it was all like TikTok shop.
Yes.
Medicube TikTok shop.
Yeah. I think that's where
that
it really
so
for me,
annoying.
I was like, am I missing something?
Yeah, it felt like the time that U2 was all downloaded to our phones. Were you alive for that?
Yep. I was fully sentient. And I actually was like, I'm not that mad about it because I kind of like U2. It's my dad's favorite band. So I like grew up on it. And then I listened to the album and I was like, get this off my phone.
Like, actually, I don't think I want this.
Good.
Did you know that Apple paid for that to happen?
Really?
Yeah.
That's
not
crazy.
U2, Apple.
So U2 didn't even care?
They got paid.
Right. I've been to 2 U2 concerts in my life.
That's a significant number.
I know. We talked about Medicube.
Yeah.
Is anything else coming to mind?
I'm trying to think.
I feel like there are the obvious ones like Drunk Elephant. It's like,
yeah.
No. Like there's, that one only has hype around it because like they market to 13-year-olds. But I
Yeah.
think that one is sort of dying down. I do not see people using Drunk Elephant anymore.
I don't either. I actually had a feeling that they like went under. Did they?
Maybe. I haven't heard from them.
I don't think they did because I did see that they still have. I was researching BB creams, upcoming episode, and they do still have one for sale. So they are still around. I don't know why I asked that, but I do feel like I've also witnessed them decline in popularity.
Yeah.
But I went to a Sephora today, and basically like every brand that I looked at, I felt like this is really a lot of energy that's in this shelf. It was very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Everything felt overhyped. Also,
Yes.
it's all so expensive.
So expensive.
Hello?
Like, why do I need to pay $38 for a lip gloss?
Literally, I had to take out a second mortgage on my home.
To buy 3 products? Yeah. Then they don't even work.
No.
Yeah.
Then they're crusting off my eyeball.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating. I feel like the flip side of this question would be like, what brands do you think deserve the hype? I think that would be one where we really have to think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Good question.
That is a good question.
Maybe one day we should do like a hits or shits episode where we talk about brands we love and brands we hate.
Yeah, we should.
Let us know if you guys want us to do that.
Yeah. I need to get more familiar with brands if we're going to do that, though.
Oh, yeah. You gotta
I need to get in there.
do some more boots on the ground. I know it's hard when you like make all your own products for 6
know.
years.
Yeah, I'm really out of the game.
Yeah.
But
Luckily, I'll bring you up to speed because I spent so much money on cosmetics, even though I could just make them all. So
that's okay. That's your right.
and my responsibility as a content creator.
I do need to go get like a toner or something though. Like now. Maybe not right now. Maybe later. I'm
Maybe
filming a
after we
podcast.
record the episode.
Hey, I gotta go.
Yeah. Okay. I'll be
That
here.
reminds me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we got that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Best practices for hair washing and conditioner in hard water.
Good question. Okay, so
I have hard water in my house, so I would like to know.
same. Hard water is very common, especially in Utah. The water is very hard here.
And no, that does not mean that it's alcoholic.
Hard water just means that there are a lot of minerals in the water, things like calcium, magnesium, and such others.
Mm-hmm. Those are the big ones.
Those are the biggest ones. And so when you have hard water, sometimes when you're washing your hair, those minerals will build up on your hair because they're not like able to be rinsed out by the water because hello, that's what's causing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it can lead to your hair feeling like brittle, dry. It can kind of lead to faded color, just overall like frizziness. It just can kind of make your hair look bleh. So what you can do to combat that is what I always recommend to see if you are actually struggling with hard water is if you can wash your hair with distilled water for a few washes and see if it actually makes a difference.
If you do that, do you like just buy distilled water
Yeah.
for like a jug and like wash it?
Yeah, I think it would be like kind of annoying, but you also could try just washing it like in the sink or like over your tub
Mm-hmm.
if that is easier than like being cold in the shower and like pouring a jug on top of your head.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would just buy distilled water, or if you have a distiller, you can do that. And that'll kind of help you see if hard water is an actual problem. And then another thing you can do is purchase a chelating shampoo. And chelating shampoos, what they do is they bind to the minerals and then they're rinsed away. So there are ingredients that are called chelators, and their whole purpose is to bind to these minerals. And then once they bind to them, they can be rinsed out. So that can help remove them from your hair. So I would probably use a chelating shampoo plus distilled water, but not all chelating shampoos are created equal. There's actually a really good post by Curlsbot is her website. She went through all the different chelating shampoos and looked at the actual studies behind them, and she only found a couple that had like actual evidence for working as chelating shampoos. So we'll link that and you can go read that and see what is like the best one to use. But yeah, that's what I would recommend if you have hard water. You don't have to use it every single time. In fact, I probably wouldn't because sometimes it can make your hair feel like overwashed because they're strong.
Yeah.
So I would use it like 2 to 4 times a month or just as you feel like you need a little bit of a refresh, and then follow it up with like a really good conditioner because it is quite drying and stripping. So yeah, that's probably what I would recommend for anyone who's struggling with hard water, or if you have hair issues that are kind of unexplained and you're like, I do not understand why I cannot seem to find any products that work. Try a chelating wash and see if that's what does it, because a lot of the time that is the issue.
Seems like a great answer.
There you go.
Nothing to add there.
Gorgeous. Let me know if you pick one up.
Yeah, I will.
You're a chelating journey. I probably should do it too. I actually bet I would benefit from that.
Yeah. I should try it. I also want to like do a washing my hair with only distilled water for a month.
Yeah, see how it
I was
goes.
going to say a week, but I don't wash my hair that frequently. So that would be like
Before
twice.
Yeah. A couple washes.
4 times is crazy. Twice.
Yeah. Girl, don't get ahead of yourself there,
Yeah.
okay?
4 times is like the greater part of every other day. That's crazy.
That's
That's
a
a lot
lot.
of hair washing.
There's another question about rinsing your hair with cold water. Does it actually benefit your hair, or are you just torturing yourself for no reason?
I want to say that it doesn't make a difference, but unfortunately, it can.
Anecdotally.
Anecdotally. Well, not even really anecdotally.
Are there studies about it?
Well, there is the surface tension of water is different when it's hot versus cold. So hot water is more attracted to oil than cold water is. So inherently, hot water is more stripping of oils than cold water would be, because the surfactants mixed with the water have greater capacity to bind oils when it's hot.
That makes sense. Okay, yes. Hot water versus cold water. Yeah. Cold water is better for your hair. I guess what I was thinking of is when people say cold water seals the cuticle.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's why I was like, wait, what?
No, it just has to do with like the amount. Hot water versus cold water as far as sealing the cuticle, no.
Yeah.
Because you don't really seal a cuticle like that. It's not something that like opens and closes.
Once it's open until you apply something that physically seals it.
Yeah, it's like shingles on your roof. Like if the shingles on your roof get damaged, then they're going to fly up and get stuck like that.
Yeah.
They're not going to just like come back down because you put a little cold water on.
Not even if it rains?
No. Yes, no. So yes, very important distinction.
Yes.
For the cuticle sealing, that's a myth. That doesn't happen. But because I guess the way that I'm thinking of it is like I mentioned earlier that for me with my curls, I notice more that rinsing the product out has a bigger impact than what conditioner I use. And I have noticed that like hot water versus cold water, like some people do recommend rinsing your hair with cold water because it doesn't rinse as much of the conditioner out. But I have noticed that for my hair, using warm water sometimes is the only way I'm able to get all of it out of my hair.
That makes sense.
So, and that has more to do with the surface tension of water when it's hot versus cold.
Yeah.
And that is still kind of a little bit anecdotal, like because there are still so many other factors that can go into it. A lot of, with any product, it could be that your hair and that product and everything combined in a way where it behaves completely different than like normally things would. But in general, it is pretty well accepted that hot water removes dirt and oil better than cold water does.
Which makes sense because like when I'm washing my dishes, I want the water hot.
Yeah.
Because like cold water is just not going to do the same thing. So
yeah,
hot water is definitely quite stripping. I think you could get away with a lukewarm shower though.
Yeah, I don't think you have
freeze
to
yourself.
No. And I think it also just, again, depends on the products that you're using because like if you're using like a real, like if you're using a C14 16-olefin sulfonate or a sulfate shampoo, something that's a more harsh anionic surfactant, then you might want to use cold water in combination with that because it's already going to be lifting a lot of the oils. Using something hot could be extra stripping. But if you're using a more mild shampoo, then you might be okay with warmer water because it's not going to be as attracted to the oils in your hair.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, as far as like people saying, oh, at the end of your shower, make sure you rinse with cold water because it seals the cuticle. That's not true.
That's not.
And you can do that if you want to and you feel like it makes a difference. Like we've mentioned a million times on the podcast, placebo is a powerful thing. So
it is.
If you feel like you rinse your hair with cold water and it looks better afterwards, go off, queen. Like continue doing whatever you want to do. Just know that the science doesn't support that, but like that's okay.
Yeah, but you can use other things to, like if you think your hair looks better and then you don't want to say to other people that you're doing it for that reason because the science doesn't support that, then you could use the excuse of something like calming your nervous system because cold water does cause your blood to flow into your core and around your heart, keep all your vital organs warm. So it moves from your extremities into your center, which makes all your pins and needly like anxiety feeling go away. So sometimes I do that at the end of showers just to zen. Yeah, I have used that. Like just turn the water to cold. Not even that cold.
Yeah.
And again, that could be somewhat mental.
But again,
if you like it, do it.
Yes. And also, I think there's so much power in saying like, yeah, the science doesn't support this, but like, I just want to do it.
Yeah.
If you tell that to me, I'll be like, okay, do your thing. Like, as long as we're on the same page about what the science is actually saying,
right?
Live your bliss. Like, I don't care. I'm not going to try to convince you.
Yeah. Especially because, I mean, and this is not like a very scientific thing to say, I guess, but like outliers do exist.
Yeah.
Usually when you are doing a scientific study, you'll get a range of results and you take kind of the average.
Right.
Who's to say that you're not an outlier? Who's to say that you're not the extra special person that this doesn't apply to?
True.
You
could be.
So,
but again, let's just be on the same page about the general consensus of science. And then we'll be good.
Then we're all good.
Then everything's
We won't
fine.
have to beat you up and take your lunch.
There was another question about preserving hair color and what to look for in shampoos. I think this is a good segue because the number one thing that fades hair color is actually just water. So the more
Probably warmer water too.
Yes, exactly. So if you are really trying to preserve your hair color, it's probably in your best interest to not use super hot water because water inherently is what strips your hair color the most. It's not sulfates like people think, unless you are using really harsh surfactants with hot water, in which case that could make sense that it would fade it faster. But we talked about this on a previous episode. There was a study done to see whether like sulfate shampoos versus sulfate-free shampoos were better for color preservation. Basically, there's no evidence to say that sulfates do fade color faster than non-sulfate shampoos. It totally depends on the shampoo and the formulation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would just recommend buying a shampoo. I don't know if I'd recommend buying a shampoo that says color safe even because like that's not regulated.
It's not regulated, but I do feel like there's some expectation around certain marketing terms.
True.
I do think we do need to give brands a little bit of credit for we mustn't. Just for the fact that like they are hoping to sell you a product that you will return to. So if you buy a color safe shampoo and it's not formulated to be color safe at all, they're going to get bad reviews and they're not going to have people that come back and repurchase that product.
Yeah, that's true.
So I do feel like to some extent, if a brand says it's color safe, I think what is annoying is when people assume that like sulfate free means color safe, or people assume that color safe means sulfate free or should mean sulfate free.
Yeah.
And that's not always the truth. There are color safe shampoos that have sulfates in them.
Yes.
And yeah, we can't fully rely on brands because they're trying to sell you products. But I do think if one brand makes two shampoos and one of them is color safe and one of them is not, there's a good chance that the differentiation that they have made as a brand is that the color safe one is a more gentle version because that's what customers are going to be expecting from it.
Yes, that would make sense. I agree with that.
But
So yeah, then maybe if you're looking to preserve hair color, look for something that's color safe. You could even refer to that Good Housekeeping article for recommendations.
Yeah.
And then rinse with mild water.
Yeah.
Maybe just not like scalding hot. And one other tip is to use amodimethicone in your routine. Amodimethicone is an incredible ingredient for preserving color.
Yeah. The way that hair color works is like your hair is porous, and the way hair color works is just that the color molecules get stuck in the pores of your hair. So there's nothing really holding them there except for like they're wedged in there.
Yeah.
So that's why water takes your color out more than anything else, is because when you're rinsing your hair, it's going to be more likely to kind of flush the color out of those little holes that it's stuck into. Amodimethicone can help, like things like that help kind of seal the color into your hair a little bit better. Can
form films.
Yeah, that can help with color preservation just so that the color is less likely to fall out. But that's also why certain colors stay better than others, is because of the size of the color molecule.
Yeah, isn't red like
Red's
the
big.
biggest? Yeah. So red is the hardest, or one of the hardest colors to upkeep.
Yeah.
Because it just falls out so easily.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to get it to like stick in there and stay.
Not for me. Just kidding. Anyway. Gosh, okay.
Okay, the last question that we will do in this episode is, since neither of you work for the company that you met at anymore, what are your current day jobs? That is, thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, we don't see each other every day anymore.
I know. I haven't seen Sadie in 3 weeks, but that is a good question.
Yes.
We're both still in contract manufacturing, but we are also just kind of pursuing personal things during the day a lot of the time too. So I maintain my relationship with contract manufacturing because I have a personal care consulting business.
Atomic Beauty Science. Go check it out.
Go check it out. I worked hard on my website.
It's so cute. Like,
It is
actually
that
to die
cute.
for.
I need to update it again. But it's a lot of work
One
having a
thing at a time.
website.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so-
that's what I do during my days. Update my website.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, I do consulting and I still work mostly with contract manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
And then some just like individual brands and advise on product formulation.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have my own personal YouTube channel now. So I spend a lot of time doing that too.
Yeah.
But most of that I started as an excuse because Flip really likes to travel and he likes me to go on hikes with him. And this makes it so that I can justify that as being part of my job.
You're feeding two birds with one stone.
That's correct.
Exactly. Yeah. I still do work full-time in contract manufacturing. And then I also have my own little business, Strand Print. I do microscopic hair analyses for people who are struggling with their hair. They want some advice on hair care and products to use. So I spend a lot of my time under the microscope.
Yeah.
And writing reports for people. And then obviously we both pour a lot of time and effort into the podcast.
Yeah. We are hoping that soon this can be the day job. But first we need to make enough money to buy a new external.
I was just going to bring that up. I was like, we have a couple gigs left probably of space on our current hard drive.
We just hope and pray that this episode will be able to be transferred onto the hard drive.
Yep.
That we have enough space for that.
Still 0% of the way there, but we have faith. Not this virtual panhandling. I feel like I'm on TikTok asking for a galaxy sticker.
Yeah, seriously. Come on, guys. You can do better than that.
Come on. Give me the sunglasses are coming on.
Oh, if you ever see me panhandling on live, mind your business.
Yeah, we have hard drives to buy, okay?
Yeah, it means that I'm out of gigs.
It means the straits are dire. Those were some great questions. Thank you to everyone who submitted.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to do more Q&As in the future. So like I said, go follow our Instagram page at BeautyXSpeaker so you can be the first to see when we put up those question boxes, or you can just comment your questions literally anytime, anywhere. And
we'll see them.
Yeah.
Literally any interaction that you make with us, we both see it nearly immediately.
Yeah, because I'm sitting there refreshing the Instagram page being like, when is someone going to comment? When is someone?
We love interaction.
We really do. So
it's so fun.
It is.
It is funny. Like usually I'll get a notification that we like got a comment. And then within like the hour, within like the 10-minute window that we get the comment, I go to see if I should respond. I'm like, oh, I'll go respond. And then I click on comments and Sadie's already on it.
Yeah, I do respond pretty quickly to most things. Sorry for stealing them from you.
Hey, that's okay.
Quicker than that.
That's okay. I'm glad you're on it.
Luckily, we are a team.
We are.
You know?
And still just a team of two. Like I mentioned, we don't really use AI to edit, but it's just me and Sadie.
Yeah, we make all of the graphics, all of the videos for social media. It's a thankless job.
It is. So if you feel bad for us and you think...
And you want to give us a galaxy.
You want to send a galaxy our way, you can do so at...
info@beautyxspeaker.com.
Perfect. We don't really have sources for today's episode, but still go check out our website at beautyxspeaker.com.
Correct, yeah. Maybe one day I will have the blog posts updated.
Hey, who cares?
I update them about once a month because we get about one view on the website once a month. So I'm like, who gives a shit?
Yeah. Well.
But I do spend kind of a lot of time on the blog posts. So
go look at them.
I mean a lot if you went and looked.
Yeah. Go check them out. You've already heard it, but like and subscribe. It helps. We need the hard drive.
Yep. And one day we'll shut up about
it. Once we get a hard drive.
Exactly.
Again, if you have connects at SanDisk, direct. Also email us at info@beautyxspeaker.com. And other than that, I think that's a wrap on this Wednesday.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.